sample piece, go ahead and hold the fabric out about here. We'll just trim off about an inch.
And then if I want to, I can put the pedal up.
So that cuts the fabric, anything that's excess, it cuts it right off?
Yep, exactly.
Oh, right.
Oh, this piece right here? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, I'm talking about this piece, how it got cut off. When,
oh, yeah, it cuts it off.
Anything that gets run through
so
the
you
knife
can't
you
can't do like a double stitch like side by side without it getting cut off, or how do you do that? Not on this machine, right?
You can join multiple layers of fabric together, but you can't butt them up this way. You have to be stitching this way and then move forward.
What if you just wanted to put two lines of stitches on the same piece of fabric, like this line, and then and then in the center without it? It won't.
You can't do it on that.
Okay. A home machine that you can take the knife out of the equation.
Yeah, home surgery, sometimes you can disable the knife, and then you can do that sort of stitching.
Okay.
For this one, you can't. So.
Alrighty.
So let's have a comparison for the stitch lengths there. You can see we've got everything from a very decorative, very closed stitch, all the way through something that would look like the edge of a blanket.
I think one of these was number 3. Let's see. This one started to get a little bit more.
Yeah. So you've got, obviously if you're going for like the most structural stitch to hold layers of fabric together and keep all the ends bound, you'd be somewhere in the middle.
Just like 1, 3, and 4 right there.
This was 0,
this was 1.
L.
Yeah.
And then there's 1, 2, 3, and 4 in between the unmarked 0.
Oh, right.
So 6-ish settings, but it's a smooth scale, it's not a hex, so you can be anywhere you need to be.
Okay.
So if you've got a really shreddy fabric that's going to start pulling apart very easily, you'll typically want a shorter stitch length because you'll have more threads binding in the edge, and it's not going to be able to unravel on you. If you're just going for a simple joining stitch that's mostly going to keep the edges folded together, like if you're working with microfleece, a longer stitch length is probably going to be better, just because it's not going to cause as much roughness in the fabric, and it's still going to do everything that it needs to do. Because microfleece, of course, is not really shreddy or unraveling on it.
Microfleece, what's that?
It's like those cooler fleece blankets you can get in Target and stuff these days.
Oh, right, okay.
Alright, so you can make an adjustment to whatever stitch length you feel like. And actually, before you stitch, go ahead and take your finger off there and place it out. But I want to fix something. I noticed we no longer are using this yellow thread, which is our optional thread, but still I want to be using it at this point. It has somehow broken and come unstitched. So we'll put that back together, and that'll actually give us another good comparison for the 3-thread option versus the 4-thread option. If you're going to break a thread, this is the thread to break. So you'll notice I am finding that clutch point just to raise up the needles to thread it. Because anytime I can use the clutch, it's going to be better for the inner workings of the machine. We will go through the entire threading path up next. Needles there? There are 2 needles. Yes.
So are you going through the first or second one?
In this case, I'm going through the first. But like I said, we're going to take basically take the threading entirely apart and start over. So you will be very familiar with this thread path by the end.
Are most sergers basically the same concept, but maybe a little bit different?
For threading?
Like it goes through this bar, and it goes around this thing.
No, sergers are actually quite varied in terms of their yeah, and the home models are going to be different from the industrial models. Alright, I'm going to take advantage of the tweezers here.
That's where you hide the sugar.
Yeah. All sorts of good tools in these drawers. The tweezers, I laugh to say this, but they will seriously be your best friend when it comes to threading the serger, and I wish we had 2 pairs so that you could feed through with one set and see with the other. This has gotten misaligned, which you probably didn't help. Alright, and if everything is working the way it should, we should pick up the yellow thread again when we start stitching.
Okay.
So if you have all 4 threads up there, you don't have to use them all though, and it will still stitch okay. There isn't something that gets dropped or
The
something
only one
out
you can
later.
take out is this one. The yellow one. The yellow one's the optional one. Okay, gotcha.
Now, when you take out the first thread, you'll also want to take out the first needle. And I'll talk about why as soon as we have a comparison. Yes, it's doing it. Good. Okay. So let's have a look at these 3 actually, all of them together. We've got, it's harder to see on this one, but we've got 3 threads engaged here and here. But you notice there's a bit of extra fluff on this side. That's because the second needle was still present. So the thread looped out all the way to that second needle, but there was no thread for it to engage with.
Gotcha.
So if you're using 3 threads only, and you actually take out that needle, you'll only see it bound up as far as this first line of thread. You won't actually see this fuzzy bit on the end.
Okay.
You can see what we've got going on here with both needle threads engaged is we've got an interaction with the first thread and then also with the second thread, which should be what's happening here and isn't. This one actually, it's loose enough stitch that it looks more like what you'd expect to see with a 3-thread serged stitch. And you can see that it is considerably narrower from the last line of stitching to the edge of the fabric with 3 threads than with 4. This one, the 4-thread one, is going to be stronger because you've got 2 straight threads for the what are called the upper and lower looper threads to interact with. But this one is going to be narrower, so for some contexts that may be less bulky, more comfortable. Yeah.
Is this where the yellow thread broke right here?
Oh, it looks like it.
Yes. Yeah, perfect. So there's an example, briefly, sorry, of proper interaction and then improper. All right, so last up for stitch length.
Back is here. This is one.
Alright. Cool.
That'll lift it up, drop it down, and then you can swing it all the way out of the way. But you may notice this is now kind of out of sight, out of mind. You can actually slam down that top cover and break off the pressure foot. So make sure you reinstall this before you let the top cover off. Alright, so what we've got going on here is actually 2 sets of dog teeth driving the fabric through the machine. The dog teeth are these little teeth underneath the cover plate, and as you go through stitch cycles, they raise up, move towards the back of the machine, drop down, move forward, raise up, move towards the back of the machine, etc. So every time they come up above the presser plate, they grab the fabric and move it through the machine for you. And when you press down on the foot pedal, it just changes how fast they move. It doesn't change the distance they move. So stitch length is always going to affect the actual distance between needle points, and then pressing down on the foot pedal there is just going to determine how many revolutions per minute, essentially. The other interesting thing here is we do have 2 different sets of dog teeth, which is different from pretty much any other kind of sewing machine. Let's see if we've got a good differential here. Yeah, so you can see there's a junction right here, and you'll see that distance between the 2 sets of dog teeth change as it goes through the stitch cycle. That is what's called our stitch differential. And that's what we can use to make the machine either gather the fabric or stretch it out for us. So actually we're not going to play with that today because it's kind of a pain getting it back to the right setting and we don't have time in class, but I do have some samples. So let's snip it here. Too many fun machines. So if you reset that stitch differential, then so this is gathering with the serger. All I did was I changed the stitch differential, and what that means is I changed how these 2 sets of dog teeth move relative to each other, and they gather the fabric
So
for
it's
me.
like good for the ends of like.
Yeah,
Well,
I've got a
like,
sleeve here.
yeah.